Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.
Everyone, welcome to the Women in Motorsports. Joe Samaniego here, and we have Daniele from Barcelona, site of the W Series testing. We're going to the W Series shortly. First, want to give a big shout out to our Patreon subscribers. Call the show Mark and Robin for keeping us on the air, and you too could be a Patreon, keeping the Grid Network on the air with our monthly Patreon or a one-time buy me a coffee for your favorite on-air personality right here on the Grid Network. Now, Dan, we're very excited to have you join us. Very thankful. Schedules are just working out where we could do this. W Series testing. The drivers are there. We could hear the cars behind you. You're at the media center. How is everything going so far at Barcelona?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Joe. Yes, as you said, it's been pretty busy. It's been a 3-day test here at Barcelona for the collective test of W Series. W Series is coming back to the track after the Dakota race last year in 2021, when Jamie Chadwick won her second back-to-back title. And so everyone is really excited to see the cars back on track, to see the potential newcomers. There's been quite a few interesting names testing here. Of course, they came from the Arizona test when they were testing in the Formula 4 car, but now it's all different story because they're now in the Formula 3 regional car. And also in the W Series spec, so which is a little bit different from some other series with different tires and different setups. So they're all trying to get back into the rhythm, into the pace, and find their pace again, and adapt to the new cars. We also have a breaking news because literally 1 minute ago, Fabienne Volvent has been announced in W Series. Well, of course, she had the automatic entry since she finished P5 last year in the championship, but she has been announced with the team. Of course, a lot of the team announcements in these days. We've seen Jenny Racing with Jamie Chadwick, Bristol Street Motors with Alice Powell. Well, then yesterday we had another team. The Puma car, the Puma team that is coming back after last year with Emma Kymäläinen. Yesterday we had another announcement, the Quan Fury team. Still no drivers have been announced for them, but yes, right now Fabienne Volven has the statement from W Series says that she is joining the community-owned race team Court DAO for 2022 W Series season. So this is interesting because I just had a quick look to the press release, and the Court DAO will be the first community-owned race team, internet-based. So this is quite interesting. I think in the past there were a couple of projects like that were trying, to crowdfund a team, or at least where fans were co-owners of a race team, but never actually really take off. So this is kind of an interesting project. This is the first time that we also could see this, and Fabienne Volven, very competitive driver from W Series. She had a pole position in the first year in 2019. Last year she had a couple of podium finishes. She finished second in Silverstone, just about missed out on her first race victory here. We had a chat with her yesterday, and she's really excited to come back to W Series. And now, of course, she's been announced with this new team, which is pretty interesting as a project.
Very interesting to hear a community-owned team on the internet. We're definitely going to be following this story as it develops more and sharing the links on our, of course, Twitter page. And I know you'll be posting that on your website, Racers Behind the Helmet. Now with Fabian, we've been hearing about a lot of these teams starting to line up with drivers like Puma, the new one, Jenner, and of course, a lot of these teams are going to be two-car teams. Is there any teams that has so far made an announcement on both drivers yet, or do we know any of that stuff?
Yeah, not yet. The only announced drivers have been Jamie for India General Racing Team, Alice Powell, Emma Kimmelainen, and now Fabian Wohlgren. So far, those are the only teams the only drivers that have already been announced to a team. So we know that the top 8 from last year have an automatic entry, so they will be in W Series. But still, we don't know in which team. And then no team so far has announced their full lineup. So this is going to be interesting, especially for Jenner Racing, because they're going to attract a lot of attention also outside of the usual motorsport community, also from a more widespread and mainstream audience. We had a chat with Jamie yesterday morning. And yeah, she's really excited to be joining that team, and she hopes that it can be a benefit for her also beyond W Series, also in the coming years. Of course, we talked to her last week about how she wanted to make a step up from W Series. Of course, that wasn't possible because of all the things that we already discussed, the skyrocketing prices of single-seaters ladder. But yeah, I think she's excited of joining that team because she hopes that it can be helpful for her also beyond W Series.
Yeah, beyond W Series, I know Caitlyn Jenner, she was seen at the NASCAR race in Los Angeles, heavily involved in motorsports, could be potentially more open doors stateside, which would be interesting. But I think seeing Jamie in either Indy Lights, Road to Indy, or American IMSA racing, I think that'd be really exciting for the fans. Now with the W Series, we know they have, as you mentioned, the Formula Regional spec car with their setup. For fans, especially new to this, how does it differ compared to the regular Formula Regional? And are there any changes from the last couple of years to this year with the car?
Well, this is interestingly something that I just discussed with Lena Buller. She also raced last year in the Formula Regional European Championship and did also the Formula Regional Asian Championship. So she basically has a pretty good knowledge of that regional car, which is the Tatus car, the Formula 3 regional car, which is the same used in all these championships. Also here in WC, the chassis is the same, but the cars are really different. This is what she told me, because she told me that when she first went out on these W Series cars, she had really a lot to adapt because the setups were different. There are some limitations to what they can change here compared to the Formula Regional European Championship, for example. Here, you can change aero and you can change something in the suspensions, but not much. While on the Formula Regional European Championship and also in the Asian Championships, teams are more freely allowed to play with the setups. So I think it kind of makes sense here because all the cars are run by the organization, even though there are teams, but of course the cars are all managed by the organization. I think I'm not sure if what has been announced yet about the technical side of the regulations. So of how they will swap the technical parts, but it is also something that I think we will talk about in the next episodes. And yeah, so and Lena really said that she kind of struggled a little bit with the tires because they are more hard compound compared to the Pirelli tires that are used in the regional car. And so she had really to adapt. And she said that the first laps were a little bit difficult because also the driving style is really different. Because while in the regional car you really brake really late and hard, and then you turn in tight, and you send the car in. While here in W Series, she told me that you need a different kind of approach to the driving style, the more smooth, and let the car a little bit more loose into the corner. So I think, yeah, she was a little bit, she said I will have to manage a little bit more mileage on this specifics, on this particular specifics, but she was kind of happy. So I think there definitely are differences. But all these drivers that have been invited here, there are 20 drivers invited here. Well, actually 21, because another driver, Jem Hepworth, British racer, has been announced on the last minute, and she's here testing today. So yeah, I think they're all fantastic drivers, and they will be quick to adapt and learn the new stuff.
Adapting and learning the new stuff and just getting up to speed at Barcelona. A very exciting time for the W Series. And of course, we know the schedule starting up in Miami, United States. And then they're going to have another race in the United States with Circus of America. So 2 rounds there. Has there been any buzz about going to North America for essentially 3 races? Because I believe they also got Mexico City this year, originally for last year. This series has been growing each year, and now with 3 races in the United States, North America, 2 in the United States, 1 in Mexico. Have you been hearing more buzz, excitement about the addition of expanding into the United States and with that Phoenix test as well?
Oh, definitely. I talked this morning with Catherine Bonmure, the CEO of W Series, and she has big plans to expand it to the US, and on a long term. So I think she said that really doing business in the US is something that she sees as better for the long term plans of the championship. And literally every driver that I've spoken to in these 3 days are saying that the Miami street circuit is the one that they are most looking forward to go. So I think there's the hype for the Miami Grand Prix is mega here, and everyone is really looking forward to that race. Even though because it's going to be a new track for everyone, so then no one really knows what to expect from that track. It's kind of the same level playing field for everyone. So I think that's also something that they are looking forward to go and try to prove themselves as the best one on street circuits, which is something that in feeder series they're not that common. For example, Lena Buller did the Monaco Grand Prix last year in the regional car in the Freitag series, but it's not something that a lot of other drivers are doing in single seaters.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. The street course of Miami, and of course, that's going to be new for everybody, not just the W Series, Formula One. That's going to be news. It's just going to be a very exciting weekend. The atmosphere, I believe, is going to be one of the best all season long. And of course, Circus America last year, 400,000 fans being in attendance, seeing the W Series. This is just going to be all big benefits for the W Series, and we cannot wait for the season. And we'll be following all year long right here. And then, of course, Grid Life will do pre-races for the W Series and the Rat Cups as well. Now, one of the big things we will check back with Dan a little bit about any breaking news or anything from Barcelona, but Dan, we got to talk about Tatiana Calderon, her first race in the NTT INDYCAR Series this past weekend at St. Petersburg, Florida for the Firestone Grand Prix. It's been a long time, 2013, I believe, the last time we had a female driver that was full-time in the IndyCar Series. We've seen female racers in the Indianapolis 500, but just that one race, not full season. Tatiana Calderon making a difference this year. She is joining AJ Floyd Racing, and overall, the first weekend for Tatiana, I would say a successful weekend in St. Petersburg. On the track, logging laps, and gaining the experience with this car. She says one of the hardest cars to drive. The Indy cars, a lot of power on these cars. And then, of course, with that aero screen, as you see, you don't get exactly the same cooling effect compared to traditional open wheel cars that you see internationally that uses the Halo device. Overall, she started 25th out of 26 vehicles. AJ Floyd Racing is one of the smaller teams. However, this is a big new year for them because they got three teams: Tatiana Calderon, rookie Kyle Kirkwood, and sophomore driver Dalton Kellett. And overall, she logged just about all the laps. She did fall 2 laps down during the race, but she stayed out of trouble. She stayed out of the wall. She continued making good passes for position, defending as well. At the end of the day, finishing 2 laps down in 24th place, I would say that has to be a successful first race for Tatiana Calderon. And of course, the NTT INDYCAR Series. It'll be a little bit of a while till their next race in Texas Motor Speedway, which is going to be an oval race. So it's going to be really interesting to see how she adapts to that oval. And of course, AJ Floyd Racing, I think they're going to see the oval as an opportunity to potentially close the gap with the competition because it's very similar to what we see last year in the ovals. Not exactly the much horsepower, but it's definitely going to be something we're going to be following. And of course, one of the big things with Tatiana, as I mentioned, the next race, the oval, so I believe she will not be competing in the oval this year. And overall, Daniel, not competing in the ovals, do you think this is just something where she could just mainly then focus on those road courses and then maybe 2023 look into doing those ovals?
Yes, exactly as you said. I think for the first year, she just wanted to, to have the opportunity to learn the car, with not the pressure also of having to learn the ovals. So I think it kind of makes sense for her to have a first season where she really learns the basics of the car. And as you mentioned, she did pretty well in the first race. She finished all the sessions, all laps, no mistakes, logged a lot of mileage. And that was really what she was expected to do. So I think coming into next year, potentially she will look into doing ovals as well. And I know that the 500 Indy 500, of course, is the big dream, for everyone coming to IndyCar. So that's also something that she will have it in her mind.
Definitely, especially she's from Colombia, of course. Juan Pablo Montoya, one of the people she watched growing up and idolizes. As you mentioned, ovals this year not happening. However, for AJ Floyd Racing, great opportunity to try to close the gap because they got Kyle Kirkwood, Sebastian Bourdais helping him out, Dalton Kellett, second year. It might be a smaller team, but I think they're going to get better and better, and that's going to be a big benefit for Tatiana Calderon. Now, with her racing experience, especially the road courses, she's done endurance races. She said this was one of the most physically demanding races in the IndyCar series. Now, of course, there's a lot of things that IndyCars don't have. They don't exactly have power steering compared to most vehicles. It's very aggressive vehicle to drive. I mean, we see drivers like Jimmy Johnson, who's a 7-time NASCAR Cup Series driver, just have a huge learning curve. Do you think with the road courses only and with her past driving style, is it going to be something where with the street courses, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, especially since you have concrete walls there surrounding compared to natural road courses where you do have the runoff rooms?
That's a good question. I think mostly it's not that much about the walls, but more about the physical side, because these cars are really, really physical. And she said, obviously, she is one of the most elite female drivers in motorsport. She has driven every car on the planet, basically the LMP2, the Formula One as well, in testing with Sauber, Super Formula, which is also really close to cornering speed of Formula One, has a lot of downforce. So yeah, I mean, she has so much experience in Formula 2, Formula 3, but the IndyCar, she said that it was really, really physically demanding, and also on a street course like that, it kind of made things difficult for her, especially because it was her first race in IndyCar. So yeah, I think it's more of a thing of getting into the physical preparation, the correct physical preparation for that specific car. But I think she will be on pace very, very soon.
On pace, and definitely it's going to be fun to watch her the entire year. We're very excited to see her, especially when she comes to Portland for the Portland Grand Prix later in the year. And of course, we're going to be there covering the race, and of course, we'll be covering Tatiana and all the races going on this year right here on the GRIDnet. Be sure to subscribe. And then I know we're starting to get to a point to wrap up the show, but overall, going back to Barcelona, the W Series testing. I know in the past they've done testing sessions before the series begins their annual calendar, their annual championship. Has there been any differences in sort of the atmosphere when it comes to, okay, the first year everyone's excited, this is brand new. The second year, well, this is only our second year. Is the third year sort of the same excitement level of like this is brand new, or is it now starting to get to the point where you're starting to think of, okay, everyone's trying to beat Jamie Chadwick, be the second W Series champion? Are we starting to see drivers making those goals of this is my goal, be the champion? Do you see sort of that shift in atmosphere?
Well, just before going on the air, I spoke with Marta Garcia like a couple of minutes before going on the air, and she totally told me that she thinks that the level in W Series is higher year after year. So I think this is important for the championship and also for the drivers. But it definitely adds a little bit more of pressure because, of course, you know that there are newbies coming in who have a lot of talent and they are fast quite straight away. They were really good in the Arizona test, as far as we understand. And I think definitely coming into the third year. Of course, this is interestingly the first test of W Series that is open to media. So we were not allowed into year one and year two. So that's something that we couldn't see how was the atmosphere there. But I think it's there is a lot of pressure, of course, from everyone. Everyone wants really to do well, and of course we know that not every driver is still confirmed yet. So they are really pushing to get those seats, the new drivers that didn't have the confirmed seats. So yeah, I think there definitely was some pressure, but we don't know the times because they're not public. But I think the drivers to beat, it's going to be difficult right now because yes, Jamie, Alice, Emma, of course, these big names are surely are going to be there fighting for podiums and for victories. But all the new drivers and the midfield, that's all to up for bets.
Yeah, it's gonna be, I think, one of the most intense seasons when it comes to W Series. Just every year it seems the competition is stepping up more and more. Of course, last year Jamie Chadwick really stepped up her level of competition. And Barcelona, of course, we know that is the second round after Miami. In total, 8 rounds. As we mentioned earlier, the 3 in North America with Mexico City, Austin, Texas, Miami, Barcelona, and then of course some of the other tracks: Silverstone, Acacia, France, Budapest, and Suzuka, Japan. With Barcelona and this track, do you think there's any features from this track that's going to help translate to some of the other tracks on the W Series, or do you think mainly what they're learning today with this new track, with the Barcelona track, is mainly going to be applied to when they come back and race here again?
Well, Barcelona is often the home of testing for so many categories around motorsport, across motorsport, from Formula One to any championships, really. And this has a reason, of course, because the track layout has a lot of very different corners. There is hairpins, there's slow corners, there are fast corners, there are straights. So it's really a complete track. Often drivers say that it's not the most fun to drive, not fun to race on, because there are not that many passing opportunities. But when it comes to testing, it really is important to go fast here in Barcelona, which will probably translate into speed into many different track layouts. So when we've seen this for Formula One for many years, they always come here into Barcelona for that specific reason, and also of course because of the Spanish weather is a little bit better than other places. We've had some very decent weather so far, no rain, so no interruptions in running, which was kind of a new thing for W Series because they had one day scrapped off from the schedule last year when they were testing in Wales. But yeah, apart from that, to answer your question, it's important to be fast here because I think the track is a very complete one.
It's a very complete track, and as you mentioned, so many series do test there at Barcelona, and it's just going to be really exciting once they come back. We could really see if there was a driver that had picked up something at the Barcelona test, and it's really going to make a huge progress, especially if they have a rough first race at Miami. And of course, we encourage everyone to be sure to visit the website Behind the Helmet, racersbehindthehelmet.com. There you can get all the latest news. I know we saw this that came out this morning about Miki Koyan becoming the first woman to sign with Toyota GR Racing. As we mentioned about some of the new teams going up, I know you'll be reporting shortly on Fabienne's new team as well. Dan, I got to ask you, when it comes to Miki and that announcement with her and Toyota, how exciting is that to see her get that deal with Toyota?
Oh, that's amazing. We learned this morning that Miki just joined the Toyota driver program, young driver program. And that's really important also for W Series because they can show that their drivers can move up to other stuff, to other series. She will do the Formula Regional in Japan with backing from Toyota. And that's important from the series because we've seen some controversial stuff, comments when Jamie was announced for a third year here in W Series, but this is also the other side of the coin. You also have other drivers that can move up into drivers programs, and that is manufactured seats, so something important for the rest of their career, whether it could be in single seaters or in GT or whatever. And Super GT, of course, is great. It's really big in Japan, or Super Formula as well. And so yeah, I think this is a big news for W Series because they've shown that some of their drivers, and even one that wasn't confirmed for this year, can indeed move up and make the most out of the exposure that they got from W Series.
Yeah, the exposure from the W Series, getting the opportunity with Toyota, a manufacturer, I think that's really exciting overall. And they got a global presence, as you mentioned, Japan, everywhere, and of course the United States as well. NASCAR side, I think it'll be a stretch to see her go NASCAR, but they are adding road courses, so maybe a one-off race. I think that'd be really exciting to see. But definitely, we want to thank Daniel for his time from Barcelona, and of course we want to thank our Patreon subscribers again for keeping us on the air. You too could invest in the Grid Network, join the Patreon or buy me a coffee, link below in the video description. And be sure to follow the Grid Network on all our social media platforms and our website gridranking.com, where we're going to have the big Grid Ranking April 3rd, the first Sunday of April, and the W Series will be part of it for the first time this year. Public.com, one of our biggest sponsors, you get $5 in stock. You use the referral code GRIDNET, link in the video description. And we're definitely thankful for Daniel for his time at Barcelona. For Racers, the girls behind the helmet, I'm Joe Samaniego. Thank you for watching today's show. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDNET for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.